sometimes hate this little thing. She is a character. She is a tiny little force to be reckoned with. She definitely has a dude. She has her own little personality. I often feel like she is basically a cat in a dog's body. We don't know what breed she is. We've had many people offer their thoughts on it. We got her when she was 5 months old from the shelter. She is probably something mixed with Chihuahua. We think probably Pekingese or Japanese Chin or something of that sort, but I feel reasonably sure that it's most likely Pekingese mixed with Chihuahua. She kind of has a lot of traits of both dog breeds if you're going by standard behavior. You might notice during this that I'm not going to touch her back end too much. She just doesn't really love that. She kind of loves her head, her chest, and her shoulder area being pet, but she's not overly fond of her bum being pet or her hindquarters at all. So I am just gonna be petting her and softly talking to you about a little bit about her story, our experience adopting her, and how far she's come. I have never recorded an ASMR video before. I'm probably not very good at this. I'm probably doing a number of things wrong, but I am giving it my best shot. My channel will not be strictly an ASMR channel. I'm hoping to do an ASMR here and there when I feel like it. Just as like a little something, but nothing too regular. I don't know if this will be anybody else's cup of tea, but I remember a video by YouTuber itsblitzzz, and she did one with her kitty cat, and it was really sweet. And my dog is just such a character, and I thought it would be a really good idea to just give something a go. I can't see her face right now, so I don't know if she is sleepy at all. I feel like I can feel her blinking, but her head is also very heavy into my hands. So Gertie was transferred from a high kill shelter in California to a non-euthanization shelter in Washington State, where we live. We were looking for a dog, and we had been looking online for a couple weeks. We had been looking at Pet Finder to look for dogs available for adoption in our area. I will say I think we were pretty naive about dog ownership, purely in the sense that we had both owned dogs in our life, but none of us had really had dogs with a lot of behavioral issues, and it didn't really seem like a huge possibility in my mind for some bizarre reason years ago that I would get a dog with behavioral issues. So we both are a fan of Star Wars. And admittedly, my husband is a bigger fan of Star Wars than I am. And we saw this tiny, goofy little dog named Yoda on a shelter website, or posted on Pet Finder. It said that she was good with children and other dogs, and there's something else on there. There was like 3 categories that it kind of, I think there's 3, maybe it was just 2, but 3 categories that it kind of marks it based on. And so she had all 3 checked off as good to go. And she is not good with any of those, so I don't know what they were on when they put that down, but that was inaccurate. She is pretty good with dogs off leash, but she's not 100% sure. We have a really good read on her behavior, and so I love her little size. We have a pretty good read on her, so we're very careful about introducing her to other dogs. She has amazing off-leash recall, but on-leash, we've been working on it. She's come a very long way, but she used to be very, very, very reactive. And now she's reactive, but like, I'd say cut down by almost 80%. Yes. So, good girl. She is definitely a Velcro dog. I love her crimped little ears. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but they look like they're crimped. I love her big bug eyes and her underbite, which has grown out, like corrected itself significantly since we adopted her. But all those years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, we saw this little Yoda on this website. If I can find the photos, maybe I'll put them in at the end, but I don't know if I will be able to. And another thing that wasn't so great that I wouldn't do in hindsight was kind of, my husband didn't want a dog just yet, and I kind of pressured him to get one, which wasn't great. So we popped down to the shelter, and we just go in there, and they have these little cages, and there is this huge dog bed with the tiniest little honey, scared little honey on it. And we crouch down in front of the cage, and we kind of call her to us, and she tentatively steps toward us. And we just both thought she was the cutest thing. We asked to see her, and so they took us into a room and put her on our lap, and she cuddled up on us and was licking us and stuff. And knowing what we know now about her, it's incredible. Like, it really is. She is so particular with people. She does not like strangers, and she just warmed up to us immediately. So that was really sweet. She also was on drugs, and so she appeared a lot more docile and friendly than she actually was. So that definitely had something to do with it, but she's always been amazing with us. it feels kind of like she picked us. I mean, we've never had any issues with her being aggressive towards us. So we wanted to adopt her, but a family had come to look at her just before we did, and they put a hold on her. I guess at the shelter you can kind of like put a hold on the dog for the day or something like that, or an hour, I can't remember exactly, but some small amount of time in order to really think it over before you go ahead and get the dog. So we talked to the shelter woman. Her name was Penny. I still remember her. She was so sweet. And she said to us, look, the family before you, I don't think that they would be a good fit for her. And she took to you a lot better. And the other family has young children, and I don't think she's particularly suited to that. And so I think that you guys would be the better option, and she's like chosen you. So if they don't, call back and get her by 5 o'clock p.m. today, or whatever time that it was like an hour from what it was now, then you can have her. Like, I want to give this other family the respect that they deserve in case they do decide it. That's not, ultimately it wasn't her place to really decide that. But she said, like, I will give them until this time. I don't know what the specifics were, but it was something to that effect. And so we went to a nearby Safeway, I believe, and I don't know what we got there. We were in the parking lot, and Luke went in to grab something, and he called me and he said, we got her. And we were so excited, and we drove there, and, we paid for her, adopted her, and right then and there, well, the social worker, the shelter worker was checking us out, and doing the paperwork. She was like, she's only 5 months old. I thought she was 13. And that was pretty funny, because she just kind of has this attitude and looks older too. And so we thought that was pretty funny. And Luke and I both have a great grandmother named Gertrude, and she just really seemed to fit Gertrude. She really seemed to fit Gertie. So right then and there, Luke suggested, hey, why don't we name her Gertie? And I was like, absolutely, yes, that is the perfect name for this dog. And so we left, and like I said, I don't know if I actually mentioned this, but she was on medication for being spayed. Unfortunately, a lot of shelters spay really young dogs before they leave the shelter. It makes sense. I understand why they do it, but it's unfortunate when it's performed on younger dogs. And so she was on medication for being spayed, and she was like the sweetest thing. And after we adopted her, we went to go to Pet Bros and went to go get food and, a bed and a leash. And we had her in there, people were petting her, she was loving it. Well, she wasn't she was just being like a normal dog, which was definitely the medication. Not typical of her now. She's quite wary of people. But, yeah, we basically brought her in to get food and such, and a person walked in with 3 dogs on a leash, and she literally went ballistic. I mean, like, almost screaming, like, not barking, like, screaming. And we just looked at each other like, what on earth have we done? I still remember that moment, and we brought her home. And, like, hindsight, if I was adopting a dog again, I would not do this, so please don't lecture me. We made plenty of mistakes, but she still turned out fine. But the first or second night that we had her, we had a couple friends over to meet her. We were so excited, and she'd been fine socially up until that point. So we brought in my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, and I think my brother-in-law as well. So, like, my sister-in-law, her husband, and my brother-in-law. And they were petting her, and when my sister-in-law went to pet her, she kind of just, like, whipped her head back and kind of nipped. And we were like, uh-oh, that's not good. And as her medication stopped, a lot more of that behavior came out. Over the years, we've worked with her so much, and we have a system in place where she just doesn't love strangers. And so when people come over, she goes to her little bed in our place. She gets some treats, and she stays there the whole time. People don't scare her by coming up to her and petting her. And if it's somebody who's been around her multiple times without petting her, and she seems relatively comfortable, we let her off of her spot and she can explore. And then if a couple more of those situations go by where they're in the same room and they're not petting her and she seems comfortable, then, give her treats and then maybe try and pet her. But she's just a huge mixed signals dog. If we didn't put her on her spot, she would go up to someone almost immediately. And then when they go to pet her, she kind of bares her teeth. So we kind of have to put some boundaries in place for her. And she's honestly way happier being on her spot, not being fear aggressive or worrying. We have tried so many things over the years with her. Like, we have tried, I mean, like, you name it, we have tried it to get her to be a more social dog. And at the end of it, it was just putting her over her threshold, and she just is not a super social dog. You can do as much training as you want, but to some extent, the dog just has their own personality, and she's kind of just a sassy little grump. So, it's like I don't want her in a position where she feels she needs to defend me or herself. I don't want her to be in a position where she is scared and feels like I'm being an accomplice to her being scared. And so that's what's been working really well for us. She also had a lot of leash reactivity issues that we've worked through significantly. I'd say her leash reactivity is down by a good 80% or so, which has been incredible. She's absolutely amazing off leash. I mean, like, she is perfect off leash. We have some tools that just she really responds well to. And even though she is dog reactive, she has, like, amazing recall when she's off leash. So it's always a pleasure. It's always, like, an absolute joy to just see her running around and sniffing things, exploring things. It's like my favorite thing in the world. I am not gonna lie and sit here and say that owning this dog and training her has been a bed of roses. Or I'm not gonna, look at it with rose-tinted glasses some people rescue their dogs, and they say that, who rescued who, and, that kind of thing. Or they had no issues, or they were better equipped to deal with their dog's issues, that kind of thing. With me, when I got her, I was honestly in a pretty bad place emotionally. I was depressed, and I think in part, sadly, that, getting this dog, I was trying to fill a void, and I was hoping that, having a dog would help me, and with her anxious temperament, it honestly just made it worse. But I can say that, there were definitely some times where it was like I didn't want to rehome her, but I just didn't know what to do, because I felt like we just could not get her issues under control, and it was seriously impacting a lot of things. But we kept with it, and we tried 100 different things, not literally, but you get what I'm saying, until we found the things that worked for her. And I am so glad that we did. She's an amazing dog. She is so cuddly. She's so sassy. She has such a little attitude. She belches after every meal. She is so fun to go on walks with and explore things with. It's so cool to watch an animal gain trust with you. It's so fun to do like little trust exercises with her to gain her confidence. I just have enjoyed the last, I'd say it's been a year since we found the correct tools to work with her. The correct methods that have just made all the difference. And it has been just an absolute joy having her. She definitely brightens up our lives, and I cannot imagine our lives without her. We definitely didn't always do everything right, and the story was dark for a little bit. And she still annoys me sometimes, because she is very sassy and stubborn. But, oh my gosh, I love this tiny little honey. I love teaching her new tricks. She knows how to lay down, sit up, stand and twirl, sit and twirl both ways, give us her paws, roll over, go to her spot, army crawl. I cannot remember whatever else, but she's a smart little thing. And I feel very, very, very lucky that we have her. This is the story that I just wanted to share of owning and working through things with our little rescue pup. I wanted to be as real as possible, Very glad we went through all of this and that we've come out the other side. But I won't lie and say it wasn't rough for a while. I feel like a lot of stories about rescuing dogs are strictly only positive, and that's amazing for those people that have had those wonderful experiences like that, but that wasn't our experience right off the bat. But I can say we are so happy that we have this little pup in our lives. I hope that you enjoyed watching her relax and cuddle up. Forever sitting cross-legged, she will be there. But my leg is falling asleep, so I hope that you have a good evening. I hope this helped you to fall asleep, and I'll see you guys soon. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this at all. And you'll get a lot of random videos about life and creating and relaxing and self-care and a bunch of different